Hey, you did a great job on the test yesterday. Keep it up.
Mr. Johnson said as I walked past him. Thank you, sir, I replied, smiling. I knew I was going to ace the test, so it wasn't a big deal for me. I'm pretty sure I had the highest scores in the whole class. I continued to walk until I got to my locker, then I put in my coat and opened it to retrieve my chemistry textbook when I was confronted with a foul smell. The smell hit me so hard that I had to take a few steps back. I looked at the locker to investigate the source of the smell and found out that it was manure. Most probably the ones used for the various plants that could be found all over the school. Who would do such a thing? I wondered. I was getting really vexed when the answer to my question suddenly presented itself before me. I was sure that this was the doing of Anne and her two friends, Agnes and Gloria. Throughout the semester, they had always tried to make life difficult for me in whatever way they could. If they were not hiding my textbooks, they were spreading false rumors about me saying I did something which I had no idea about. But this time, I had had enough. I walked straight to the principal's office, but his secretary told me to wait a little since he was still attending to someone. I sat in the reception, stewing in my anger, and after a few minutes, Anne walked out of his office, smiling. As soon as she saw me, her smile grew wider and more mischievous, as if to taunt me about what she had done to me. I entered the principal's office to file my complaint. "Sir, I have come to report a serious issue," I said angrily.
What is it this time, Matilda?
"Mr. Roundbottom," the school principal answered. "Sir, someone put some stinky manure in my locker today, and I know who it is."
Oh, really? Who was it that did such a dastardly act?
He asked sarcastically. "It was Anne, or one of her friends. I know it. They always do things like this to me," I replied.
And do you have any proof to back up your allegations?
Proof? Of course I don't have any proof. I don't think I need one. No one else in this school plays such stupid pranks on me apart from the three of them. They always do this to me, and they laugh in my face about it.
Well, I'm sorry, Matilda. If you don't have any proof it's them, there's nothing I can do. I can't punish innocent students.
Innocent? I just told you that they weren't. They are the main culprits, and I'm the victim. It's because Anne's your daughter, isn't it? And you're trying to protect her. This isn't the first time I'm coming to you about her actions, and yet you continue to do nothing about it, I yelled angrily.
That'll be all, Matilda,
Mr. Roundbottom said, waving his hand at me and dismissing me. I stamped my foot on the ground, got up from my seat, and walked out of the office, slamming the door behind me. On my way to math class, I walked by Jacob, the school basketball captain, and also the jock who happened to be Anne's boyfriend. He was the most handsome and popular boy in school, so it only seemed right that he dated Anne, who was the most beautiful and popular girl in school. They were sort of like a power couple in school, and everyone admired them. Well, everyone except me. I managed to get into class just in time, and as soon as I was seated, the teacher announced a pop quiz. Audible groans and complaints could be heard from every student, as no one was prepared for it. But the test was on anyway. At the end of the school day, the math teacher called me aside to inform me that I did extremely well on the quiz. He also informed me of a regional mathematics competition that was to be held soon, and he encouraged me to register for it, which I promptly did. After registration, I was put in a preliminary stage, and I, alongside others, were put through further tests to pick a single competitor. I emerged victorious at the preliminary stage, and I was selected as the single competitor to represent my school district at the regional competition. The competition was to happen over the weekend at a neighboring town, and the expenses were covered by my school. It was an amazing experience for me, as I had never been outside my town before. The day of the regional competition came, and I remember being nervous that day. I had studied a lot up until the early morning of the D-Day. A few hours later, the regional competition had ended, and once again, I was declared the winner. This meant that I had a shot at becoming the national champion at the National Mathematics Competition. News of my victory at the regional level spread far and wide in my town. My town was not very big, so news like this traveled very quickly. And before I knew it, I was suddenly the talk of the town, and my name was on the lips of almost everyone. The local television news station even came down to my school to do an interview with me, which ran throughout the week. In a flash, I had become a local celebrity overnight. This celebrity status most definitely extended to my school, where every student suddenly knew my name, and every teacher used me as a shining example of why students should always work hard. I was now the most popular person in my school, even more popular than Anne and her friends, which didn't sit well with them, as I would soon come to find out. The very next week, another quiz was organized by a teacher, and as usual, I knew that this would not be a problem for me. I expected to score the highest marks as usual, and smiled to myself as I finished in half the time and submitted my answer sheet. Throughout that same week, a series of tests were organized by different teachers, and I was confident in each of my answers. So imagine my surprise when, the next week, I got all my answer sheets for the various subjects and failed woefully in all of them. I had to clean my eyes numerous times because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I even checked the name to be sure that it was mine. But staring at me boldly in the face was a big fat F with my name on the answer sheet. To make matters worse, I was informed by the principal that as a result of my woeful performance in the school tests, I would not be selected for the state mathematics competition and someone else would be selected instead of me. Such news was unbearable to me, and I rushed to the restroom to cry my eyes out. While in a toilet cubicle and in the middle of my crying session, I overheard some footsteps, and before long they started to talk about something which caught my attention. One of them was Gloria. "Hey, did you hear about Matilda?" Gloria asked. "Yeah, I heard. I heard that she failed woefully in the tests, and she was withdrawn from the national competition," her friend answered. "Well, it serves her right, and it was all our doing." "What did you do?" "We did a little switcheroo with her answer scripts after the test." "Well, Anne switched it. I just distracted the teachers while she did it." "Really? Isn't that a little bit wicked? Did she offend you in any way?" her friend asked, surprised at what Gloria did. "She's a bratty little Einstein. She deserves it." "What?" I heard all of this through the cubicle and decided to plot my revenge. First, I managed to obtain some of the strongest itching creams known to man and applied them on Anne's cheerleader uniform, along with the uniforms of her friends Gloria and Agnes. As soon as their skin came into contact with it, they itched so uncontrollably that they were unable to continue with cheerleader practice. Even when they took the uniform off, the pain was unbearable and they continued to itch for days. They had no idea who the culprit was, so I continued with my revenge mission. Next, I sabotaged Anne's relationship with Jacob by hacking Anne's phone and inserting some suspicious messages in there to make it look like she was cheating on Jacob. Then I informed Jacob that Anne was cheating on him and encouraged him to check her messages. He did that and immediately broke up with her after finding the messages. After that, I decided to go a step further by making Jacob fall in love with me. It was harder than I expected, but I'm smart, so I managed to pull it off. I made my relationship with Jacob extremely public in our school, which made Anne jealous. As the new popular girl in school, I was invited to a party thrown by one of the richest kids in the school. He pleaded with me to attend, and I obliged. I came along with Jacob, and we were nominated Party King and Queen. After being crowned Party King and Queen at the party, Jacob and I were asked to give a speech. And in the middle of mine, I kissed Jacob in front of everybody, making sure that Anne saw me do this. I could see the anger in her face, and I decided to up the ante by telling her that Jacob always thought she was not smart and was only with her because of her looks and popularity. The whole party laughed at Anne and mocked her as she stormed out of the party. When it was time to go home, I stumbled upon Anne and found her drenched in tears. It seemed like she'd been crying for hours. I walked past her, but after a few steps, I turned back to her and sat down with her. She apologized to me for being jealous of me and confessed to me about all she'd done to sabotage my chances at the competition, including switching my answer sheets. I sat with her quietly, listening, recording her, and gathering information that I would use for the final nail on her coffin. "I'm sorry for everything," she concluded, tears still streaming down her face. "I know you are," I replied, smiling. The next day, as Anne walked into school, what greeted her were pictures of her in the school newspaper, complete with her entire confession and admission of guilt. That day, the whole school saw Anne and her friends for who they truly were. I smiled mischievously at Anne as she walked past me on her way to the principal's office. But this time, there was nothing her father could do to protect her. I eavesdropped on their conversation as I heard him telling her that because of the overwhelming evidence against her, there was nothing he could do to get her out of this mess. He also told her that if nothing was done about this, he could lose his job. And so he made her apologize to me in front of the entire school. After which they were expelled from the school, amidst cheers and celebration from the other students. I had broken up with Jacob since I had no use for him anymore. The Joker tried to get back with Anne, but she was done too.
Babe, I miss you.
Jacob said to Anne as she walked away, but she didn't even turn back. Back at school, I thought everything was okay now, until I was called into the principal's office a couple of weeks later amidst allegations of cheating. It turns out that another student had been going around spreading rumors of me cheating in all of my tests, and it had somehow gotten back to the principal. The principal, still sour about what I had done to his daughter, tried to make me pay, and he saw this as an opportunity. I was told that based on these serious allegations, I would have to rewrite every single test and exam I had previously written that semester alone, and under extremely strict conditions. I was a little bothered about this, but I agreed to rewrite everything in order to clear my name and put an end to the rumors. I retook every single test and exam, and when the results came out, it turned out that I had scored even higher than before. This put the rumors to rest and helped me to increase my popularity among the students. Like and subscribe if you ever want to be popular in your life. See ya! See ya!